So I had the idea for starting a vlog a while ago, a couple months ago, maybe a few months ago, and I have found a lot of reasons not to actually start it. I thought about how it'd be good to have the first vlog, what do you even call them? Episodes? Issues? Videos? They are videos. On May 24th, or recorded then. That was 4 years since I walked out of my office for the last time as a corporate defense attorney. Also thought May 29th might be good. That was the 7-year anniversary from my last drink. So it had some big life stuff, good reasons to talk into a camera. Kept coming up with reasons not to. Video wasn't good enough, audio quality wasn't good enough, and so it took me some time to get those issues ironed out, although honestly those weren't really the issues anyway, right? Those are just excuses not to actually do this thing. So I know that was the case for me, that I was just making excuses for a number of reasons, but one of the most obvious was yesterday when I was going to record this. My excuses at that point, since I'd knocked out the technical ones, the ones related to equipment, skills, were about I needed a haircut, I needed my beard trimmed. I didn't have enough of a script. Though I don't really like using scripts. I prefer to record au naturel, which means I do it without a script and I don't wear pants. Is he really not wearing pants? He's wearing pants. But when it comes down to it, all those excuses are just that. Like, they're just things I'm bringing up to cover up for the real thing. The reason not to make something, whatever it is, whether it's a video, whether it's a book, a business, or even a hard conversation, it's not really about the thing, right? It's about fear. And it all comes down to my battle against the resistance. That's it. There's a secret that real writers know that wannabe writers don't. It's that the hard part is not the writing. The hard part is the sitting down to write. It's a line from The War of Art, one of my favorite books by Steven Pressfield. It's a book that's all about this thing that he calls the resistance, this natural force that seems to have nothing more than a goal of keeping us from doing the work that is ours to do. I know a lot about resistance, so I've spent most of my life getting my ass kicked by it. I love the way Pressfield describes it because it's pretty overarching. It covers a lot of stuff. It covers my perfectionism, which comes up like in an arena where I'm back to being a beginner, like this, making videos, talking into a camera, editing video, even screwing around with YouTube, which is pretty intuitive. It's hard. Oh, the siren passing, coffee break. It can come up as procrastination. Just how can I put off doing this thing? It can come off as making drama, self-sabotage, addiction, And I've played around with all those things, right? And for everybody who's actually trying to do creative work, like work that involves putting your heart out into the world, which is my definition of art, resistance is a daily battle. And it doesn't really get easier. If you want to write, if you want to act, if you want to start a business, if you want to do anything, let's say creative, that involves taking an open space and filling it with something that comes from inside, I believe you've got to learn to do battle with the resistance. You've got to learn what resistance looks like for you, and then you've got to learn how to show up and actually do that battle day after day and get stronger along the way as you go. You know, it's like running a marathon. Like, the distances don't get shorter as you train. The distances, they stay the same. Like, running a marathon is hard. It's 26.2 miles. The training is about making the self stronger, about strengthening the muscles that help you to cover that distance in a way that is still difficult. You still get tired, but you're ready for it. Me personally, I've made this kind of a part of my jam, for lack of a better term, because I know the stakes of not battling resistance. And there are two things that happen when you don't even show up for the battle. One, the work doesn't get done, whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing. And I don't mean that in a God has a plan for everybody sense. If that's where you're coming from, that's fine. That's not where I'm coming from. I simply mean there is work that if you don't do it, it's not going to get done, and it won't exist. You know, I know that there are books that I could have written in my 20s. They may have been bad books. I don't know. They never got written because I was so tied up identifying myself as a writer that I was terrified of actually writing and then getting judged. So I just didn't write. I just stopped. So like whatever those books might have been, they never got made. And I can't share that with people. And the other thing that happens is that the person avoiding the resistance becomes toxic. And I definitely got toxic. I had what you generously might describe as a unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And I became so toxic, so unhealthy, so unhappy, that I took myself to such destructive lengths that I ultimately ended up coming to in a jail cell on the island of Guam, which is a rather small rock in the Pacific Ocean. And it was only after that happened that I started really asking some big questions about how I got to that place. And I could talk about that all day long, but I think one way to frame how my life changed after that, and that was more than 7 years ago now, one way to frame the trajectory that my life has been on since, which is a very different one, is that up until that point, I had been running away from the resistance. I'd been refusing to do battle. I've been trying to just make it go away. And since then, I've been learning about how to actually show up and fight. Fight to create, fight to do the work that is mine to do. If you're running up against self-doubt, questioning your self-worth, whether or not you're good enough to do the thing you want to do, you're not alone in that. And when it comes down to it, the best in the world at what they do chances are that they run across the same feelings. What separates the greats from the rest of us, from normal people, yeah, right, like I'm normal, isn't about talent. It's not about fame. It's not about money. It's not about success. It's about what we do when we're faced with the resistance. This vlog, I've started this project where I'm going to make weekly videos tracking the things I'm working on, because I feel like superstars in whatever field, like the people who've made it, the people who are successful, the people who do the things we really love, they have a tendency to make it look easy, right? And it's not easy. It's not easy to play basketball like Michael Jordan. It's not easy to perform like Beyonce. Those things are not easy. But part of what makes those people great at what they do is that they make it look easy. And part of what I want to do here is maybe pull back the curtain on, I'm not a superstar. I'm a guy just trying to make it work. A guy who's trying to make a life. And how I've gone about trying to do that involves making things and creating, and is becoming increasingly dependent on that. So I'll be tracking things like, I've been working on, I'm on the third draft of a book called The Whipmaker's Apprentice. That's about kind of this shift that it seems like our whole economy is going through. I've been working on developing a couple business ideas. One started out as a blog that I started with my sister Christy called Off Scripting, which sort of describes this lifestyle and has sort of morphed into a thing we're calling ACSAS, the YouTube channel you're on right now, which stands for Artists Creating, Supporting, and Shipping. I want to track the process of taking ACSAS from what it is and what it has been and what it started as, and sort of mapping out how it grows and trying to be honest and really transparent about how hard it is and all the doubts and all the hiccups along the way. And then there are other things. Doing this vlog is in and of itself something I can track. And I want to just put myself out there. Now, I'm 34 years old. I've been around the block a couple times. I spent several years as an attorney. So I'm confident enough in what I do and in what I'm about at this point to be able to say, look, here's who I am, here's what I do, and I hope that it could be helpful to you. We should get another coffee and then dismount, huh? Let's do it. In another part of the War of Art, Pressfield writes about the actor Peter Fonda, who back in the day in Hollywood was one of those guys who was the guy, and Pressfield writes about how even in his 70s, when he was still a working actor, he had a habit of throwing up in his dressing room before going out on stage. That even after a lifetime, really, a full career of success and excellence, and being one of the masters of his craft, Fonda was still terrified before he went out there. It's amazing, right? But what'd he do? He'd puke, clean himself up, and get his ass back out there and do it. I had that reinforced for me the other day. I was in Montreal with my wife. We're on our way back to Toronto, and I was sitting in a cafe. I had this my little rig here, the GoPro, the mic. I was playing around with a new mic, and I started talking to the guy who ran the cafe. His name's Jesse, and he was asking me about the mic, and I was saying, I don't really know. I'm just getting into this stuff, just getting started, and he was telling me about how he's been vlogging for a while. He has a background in video production, and I'm picking his brain about vlogging, hoping I can get some tips from him, asking him for advice he has for a guy who's just getting started and doesn't really have any idea what he's doing. And my hope was that he was going to give me some editing hack or some sort of technique, but that's not what he did. He took out a piece of paper, he took out a marker, and he just scribbled this. Can you see that? Just keep uploading. And that's one of the mottos of Casey Neistat, a guy who is like the guy on YouTube. And that really is what it comes down to as a creator. We want hacks, we want shortcuts, and the bottom line is that we just don't get that. That's just not available. If you want to create, if you want to do the work that is yours to do, you gotta take the chances, you've gotta take the risk, you gotta put yourself out there in a way that you're laying your heart into the world in a place where theoretically it could get ugh. And it doesn't get easier. It doesn't. So what do? You just keep uploading. As Seth Godin says, you shit. Ira Glass put it, make a lot of work. You just build up a tremendous body of work. And in that body, there's going to be some really good stuff. If you want to create, that's the option. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you want to keep up with my ongoing battle against resistance, click that little subscribe button. People usually do like this. Other than that, let's get to work.